This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSPORT Fan Network. TalkSPORT. Powered by fans.
Styles with a save. To the second here. A classic counter-attack, and Gibbs White puts Nottingham Forest 2 ahead. Here's Wood. 1-0 Forest. Has made an even bigger difference there. Nottingham Forest have snatched the lead at Anfield.
Hello, welcome back to this edition of Red Side of the Trent after Forest drew 0-0 with Fulham, just creeping above that dotted line as all the teams near the bottom drew their respective games over the weekend. I'd like to be joined by Mason Coy, Christian Brown and Reese Lane. Mason, I'll start with yourself. How are you, first of all? And I mean, what was your feelings walking away from the ground? I know we were together, but just overriding feelings now you've had the time to reflect a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate. To be honest with you, even when the final whistle went, I was a bit like the atmosphere in the ground. It was flat. There was nothing really. There was no anger. There was no happiness. It was just a really strange feeling. It was. I haven't changed either. It's just tough, obviously, because we want to win. I think the position we're in obviously doesn't help. That doesn't help any situation. But yeah, obviously, on another day, you win that 3-0 and you're going home and you're absolutely buzzing. But like we've said, obviously, we walked over the bridge together and we had a chat. And we both just said, I don't feel flat, but obviously I'm not happy either. So it was a really, really weird one.
Yeah. Christian, how are you? And same to you, really. What I mean, watching from home or how have you managed to watch it today? I know you didn't come up from Kent, so must have been a different one. Obviously, you're getting the replays of all the... I mean, we've called the podcast Fine Margins. I mean, they were the finest of margins today.
Yeah, it was a Warburton special today, wasn't it, really? But no, yeah, I'm fine. I feel like it's an odd one, isn't it? It almost feels like we just fast forward in time and nothing really happens. I mean, like I was saying, like West Ham have drawn, Leeds have drawn, Spurs have drawn, we've drawn. No one's gained any ground on each other. It's just one game less to play. The situation's exactly the same. So it's a little bit odd in that regards. It's a weird one, isn't it? I mean, like I think there are some positives you can definitely take from it. Obviously, the negatives we haven't managed to win. But you know, I think it's a bit of a mixed sort of feelings and emotions, I suppose. Because I think I'm not really sure how to feel about it. I suppose. What should I get at?
Fair. Reese, are you well? And reflections of walking away from the ground today.
Yeah, I'm okay, mate. Are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It's just, I mean, on another day, like Mason says, we win that game, don't we?
Yeah, I kind of echo what the guys are saying, really. Yeah, it was a bit strange, wasn't it? A bit subdued at full time in the ground. I mean, there was a smattering of applause and there was a smattering of boos, and I think the majority were just like, well, how do we kind of feel after that result? I think it's definitely another opportunity missed because I thought Fulham were there for the taking. I guess you could caveat that was vastly unlucky in a couple of moments. Obviously, Einert in the bar, the Ndoye offside. We actually won ourselves a penalty as well, and it was pulled back for offside rightly, that one. Yeah, it's another point on the board. It's a clean sheet, but it's the same old story, isn't it? We just can't score goals at home anyway. I think that's 6 in the last 9 games now. It's at home, and so yeah, like I think I said this on the pod a couple of times ago. It's like a death by 1,000 cuts, isn't it? It's another week where everybody's got the same result, and it's just going to slog it into next week, in which is an absolute. It's a grudge match, and it's the proverbial 6-pointer next week. And I guess the positive tonight is that Tottenham have got a point which might keep Igor Tudor in a job for a bit longer, and we might get him rather than a new manager Pants next Sunday. I'm just trying to think of something to latch on to, because it's a hope that kills you, isn't it?
Absolutely. Let's start off with the lineup, Mason, because it was an indifferent team. I thought Morgan Gibbs White and Callum Hudson-Odoi operating out wide. Dominguez, Anderson, and Sangare midfield, normal back 5 supporting Igor Jesus. I mean, we said it a lot. Like it really killed us having Gibbs White out wide, didn't it? And it really told about, obviously, with the half time changes, but that lineup was a bit weird, I thought.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, mate, it's the first time in a long time I've looked at a lineup and I've thought, I'm not happy with it. I wasn't happy with it. It just didn't seem right from the off, and obviously we hadn't even kicked a ball yet. I love Dominguez. I love him. I love everything he does for us. I think he's a brilliant footballer. I think he's massively underrated, but I just don't think he was needed today. But if he was needed, he was utilised wrong. Like it just wasn't the one. I don't think having Hudson-Odoi on the right, Gibbs White on the left has never been a winger in his life. Even when he has done, he's played on the right. And then having Dominguez centrally in a 3. I think if you're going to do that with that personnel, it has to be Dominguez on the right, which is up against Robinson and trying to like nullify his threat. Hudson-Odoi naturally in his natural position, because Tete is not a great fullback in my opinion. I think he's there to be got at, and he got away with murder first off, because every time Gibbs White got it and Nico Williams got it, it's natural for them to go back inside, and no one really ran at him. So I think he got away with murder in that sense. But yeah, I wasn't happy with it. I'm not even going to give a suggestion on who I would have played instead or whatever, because let's be honest, no one's ripping up trees, are they? They're not. So it's difficult, really. Obviously, you can sit here in hindsight and say Hutchinson should have played because he did okay, and Doy should have played, but Doy's been not very good, has he? Let's be honest. Hutchinson has been a hit and miss, which we've expected because he's a young lad. But yeah, like I say, I just wasn't. I was looked at it and I didn't think anything. I wasn't necessarily buzzing. I wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, we'll touch on it. Christian wasn't happy about Aina. That even walking to the ground, me and you said, I thought he was going to go for something today. Like Reece touched on it, obviously in our group chat before. Reece said, "Oh, I think McAtee might play." Or I thought he was going to try something. So then I think when I seen it, I was a bit like, "Oh, is that it?" Like it's one of them. We're never going to win, are we, with team selections? Because if Dominguez doesn't play and we miss him, it's Dominguez should have played, and vice versa with any other player. But yeah, I just felt it was a bit strange.
Yeah, I mean, Christian, game started off a little bit cagey as expected. I didn't think either team really took the game by the scruff of the neck, and it's told by the chances. Not a lot of shots on goal really, but the most glaringly, I mean, poor opportunity for us was Anderson getting in down on the channel and doing brilliantly to get away from his man, and then the shot is, I mean, the tale of our season really, because it's poor. It is really poor, and especially from a player of his standards and someone who scored an absolute wonder goal at City the other week. It's just same old story sort of thing.
Yeah, I just find his shooting so erratic, Anderson. I mean, it sort of gave me sort of like, you sort of wonder whether the goal at City was sort of like the anomaly in terms of his normal shooting, because you think back to Villa away last season where he must have had about 7 or 8 chances. I don't think nearly all of them went out for throw-ins. If you think to Midtjylland's on Thursday night, we just basically passed it to the goalkeeper. I don't think anyone expected him to score. I think that's probably the most damning thing I can say. Once he chopped into that position, I certainly didn't think he was going to hit the score. I just thought, okay, you might get a corner from this. You might, might get it on target if he's lucky. I didn't think he's going to score, which is odd because you're right. That goal at Man City was an absolute rocket. It was a firecracker. Found the bottom corner, had one of the best goalkeepers in the world, absolutely scrambling, couldn't get nowhere near it. But I just don't think it's just not. It's bizarre, isn't it? You've got a £100 million midfielder who gives you so much in a football pitch, but none of us feel confident when he takes set pieces. None of us feel confident when he's in front of goal. It's very, very bizarre that he suddenly, we value him at that much despite that. But no, I think the problem for Forest was, and obviously something that Mason alluded to as well with Dominguez, we were just too safe. We were just far too safe in that first half. You could see it. It was the only time. I know obviously a lot's been made of the whole Thursday Sunday thing, because obviously Dyche was having them all doing bleep tests 24/7 in training, so they all look absolutely knackered on the Sunday game. But we actually looked pretty fresh, I thought. I didn't look at Forest today and thought, they look fatigued, or they look tired, or you can tell how the game midweek or anything like that. We had absolutely normal. Bear in mind, Fulham would have had a week off as well. I think so they played last weekend in the FA Cup, so there wasn't any question of freshness. We just looked devoid of confidence at times. It was like there were patterns emerging, despite the fact that Gibbs White was out wide, despite the fact that it wasn't particularly fluid or cohesive Forest setup, but we just weren't doing it. It was always a safe, easy ball. There was no risks being taken. I know, obviously, you sort of thought, aren't you? You keep the ball. easy ball always if you can, sort of thing, etc., etc. But there comes a point where it's sort of like, look, nothing's happening, and nothing did happen really. We had no real impetus. At the wings, obviously, Gibbs White was sort of wasted. Hudson-Odoi I thought was very ineffective. I'm a massive fan of his, but I just thought that you might as well not have been in the game. And lo and behold, obviously at half time that stuff was made. But yeah, we just weren't taking any risks. We didn't look like a team that had just gone into the bottom three and needed a win to sort of pull away from it. We looked like a team that was coasting in mid-table, sort of just going through the motions almost. And that was a concern for me, really.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we could talk about it. Morgan White's free kick. I mean, it's a P roller to the keeper. I mean, but Reece, at least with Vito Pereira, I don't know if you're going to have a say on that first half, but at least with it, he saw what we weren't doing, and he brought on two wingers and took off Callum Hudson-Odoi and Dominguez for Ndoye and Hutchinson. And I thought actually Dan Ndoye made an immediate impact. To be fair to him.
Yeah, I agree with Mason. I thought the balance of the team was just all wrong first half, but we're at a stage where, as fans, and Vitor Pereira will be the same, we're just chucking mud at the wall, hoping something sticks, hoping something works for us. I mean, every week we're coming up with new formations, we're coming up with different players in different positions, just trying something to go for us, because that's where we are, unfortunately. Yeah, that Anderson one was strange because he did the hard work so well, and then he cut inside and then he tried to whip it to the near post. He was never going to score by hitting the near post. That was just strange. And yeah, we had that Gibbs White free kick, which was a P roller. Dominguez's effort, he was too safe, wasn't he there, Dominguez? He strode onto it, and it was always like, well, at least if I hit the target, and he did. But that was a simple save for Leno. But we got away with one, mate, as well, with the Bassi header, because that was a mistake originally from Murillo, which saw Nico Williams bring their man down, and then Murillo loses Bassi. It's a free header and he should score, and it's a brilliant save from Sells. We got away with one there, so you're kind of thinking at half-time 0-0, reset, and to be fair to Pereira, we made the change, went with the two wingers because we had no overlap, did we, on the left with Gibbs White out wide as well. It just wasn't really working, and yeah, I thought second half it was much better. Hutchinson and Ndoye, at times are frustrating, but I thought they were proactive and tried to get us forward. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just such a shame. The fine margins have gone against us, really. But yeah, I think at home when you're playing sides who are running around that mid-table, you can't be playing Dominguez instead of a winger. I don't mind against teams like a Man City and that, but I just think it just takes so much out of his flow because you're looking to get on the front foot against them. And yeah, it's just a shame we just couldn't nick the game, really.
Yeah, I mean, Mason, we've got to talk about Olaine is hitting the crossbar because one, it's a great pass, two, it's a great take, and then the third, you're just thinking, well, he's hit it too well.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it, where he hits it too well and you think, oh, even if you'd have caught it a little bit less, it goes in the top corner, doesn't it? It was, like you said, the pass from Murillo. I didn't even see the run. What he's doing there in the first place, I don't know. It is baffling to me. He's the furthest man forward in the centre of the pitch, and that's our right back. But he does this every so often, doesn't he, Ola? He pops up in mental positions, and for some reason his left foot shooting is out of this world. He's hit it unbelievably well, but it sums us up at the minute that hasn't bounced down and backwards, it's bounced down and forwards. It sums us up, really. But yeah, like we were touching on Ndoye, mate. Obviously, when he came on, it's not that I'm groaning about it or I'm upset about it. There's nothingness for me towards a lot of these players at the minute just because of how they're playing, and I didn't feel any kind of way. But from minute one, as soon as he ran in behind, you could see he almost looked lighter. I think you said it to me actually in the ground, Adam, to be fair. He just looked sharper and lighter, and you're thinking, God, go on then, because we've had lots of laboured winger performances this year. You're looking for that spark, aren't you? Like Reece said, you're chucking anything at the wall, and that was it for me. He noticed we were lacking out wide. He brought two wingers on and just was thinking, one of you please just produce something. And Ndoye did. He produced a couple of good moments. Like I say, it was just unfortunate that he was offside by inches, really. But yeah, in terms of the Ola chance, mate, it was one of them. Like I said, it's another day that goes in and we're all singing the Ribena song again and everyone's happy.
Yeah, I mean, Christian, just going on Ndoye with the disallowed goal. I mean, I've seen this thing about it's meant to be like a 5 centimeter sort of, I don't know. I don't even know really what you want to call it. Is it just like
tolerance?
Tolerance? Like, how are they measuring that though? I mean, like, I can understand why Arsene Wenger wants this whole thing of like daylight between striker and defender, but I just feel like that's a bit too extreme. They maybe need to find a happy medium, because he almost doesn't really gain that much of an advantage for how much offside he is. And I mean, as I actually said in the ground, he might score the winner. I don't know why I had this sort of feeling, but it's a great finish for someone that's in such bad form. But I just liked that he wanted to get beyond the fullback, and we was lofting balls in for him to actually run onto. And you're just thinking, where has this been all season from him? You just hope it kind of like happens for the last 8 games, and we might get something out of him, because we know he's a good player. Because you're not going to get touted by like Inter Milan and Napoli for no reason, are you?
Well, you'd hope not. No. Going on the 5 centimeter margin of error, or whatever it is, I think that only applies depending on what your club badge is. But cynical. I think Liverpool are the only team that's benefited from it, aren't they? I think, which says a lot. No, it was. I mean, obviously the penalty as well. I mean, that was quite high. I mean, ultimately, this is one of those things where there are very few things in black and white in football, but offside is unfortunately one of them. It's either you are or you aren't. There is no in between or whatever else. It's literally matter of fact. It's black or white. It's you unfortunately, by a tiniest margins, he's offside for both. And I think it's what I've been saying. If you we just can't seem to catch a break at the minute, can we? Obviously the Aina one hitting the bar and coming out, the penalty as well. I mean, Adoy did very well for that as well. Completely mugged Bassi off, and then obviously took the foul. Unfortunately, it was just half a step offside. The goal was even tighter. I think it was one of those where where you sort of see it on a screen, or obviously when you're there in the ground or whatever else, the ball comes over, you don't look at that and think that's offside, do you? I don't think anyone did. Hence the roar when it hit the back of the net, and brilliant finish as well. I actually think like Leno sort of hesitates to come out, so I don't think he realizes Ndoye's got the pace to get there, but he does get there and then obviously wraps it around him. But it's just galling. Absolutely galling, because you're thinking then, Jesus, yeah, we've got a lead, we've won them up, we've made these changes, we're looking fresh again, we're looking like we've got a bit of impetus, and then it's just pop the balloon. But yeah, it is promising. He looked good. I mean, obviously you mentioned about why is it taking so long. Not every signing's going to work out straight out the box. We know that. We've always known that as well. It's just that we have a very impatient fan base, and ourselves included in that as well. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us have written Ndoye off at times. Like you said, there must be a player in there for the fact that he's laboured most of the season or had his injury problems up and down and been out the side. And yet Inter and Napoli still both want him and probably play what we paid for him in the summer, if it comes to that. But yeah, if he can show it for his last 8 games, great, fine. But some players will take longer to adapt to leagues than others. Some people will adapt straight out the box and be fine. And, that can come down to environment or whatever else. We've had 4 managers this season. We've had, we don't have an environment. We've got a structure made out of sands. So it's very difficult for players to come in. And we've had this conversation before many times. If you put McAtee at Dortmund or Frankfurt, for example, he'd have shone. If you put Bakker in Fulham's team, when they were linked to him, he'd have shone there as well. But at Forest, where there's so much upheaval and so much, expectation and patience, whatever you want to dress it up as, it's just a very difficult environment to look good in, really, as a new player. So, but yeah, promising signs there, massively promising signs from Ndoye.
I think I just get a bit frustrated because I think remember the Brentford game, he was making them sort of runs at the start, and you just think like, well, this is your recipe now, like to get integrated into the team. But as you said, there's so much that's gone on and everything else. So yeah, let's hope that something can sort of kickstart it, because he did look sharp, he looked good, he looked like he had a weight lifted off his shoulders. So that's good. I mean, and then Reece, you're gonna have to finish off with the two chances that Tyro had, because I mean, we've all said how much we think he's finished, and he had probably 2 best chances in the first one, especially you thinking you've got to hit the target and he's not. And it's a great pass from Elliot Anderson as well. And it just like we're kind of getting to this point where we're now hoping that Tyro can find that form that he did in the end of the first season, start of the second season. because Jesus, for as much as we like him, he's just not doing the business in the league, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, long term, I'll stick by that. I don't see him having a long-term future at Forest, but desperate times call for desperate measures, don't they? Like you said, Adam, Jesus is just not scoring. I thought he was really poor today, and I actually would have made the change earlier. I actually would have started Taro today personally, because just for some variation. I mean, every pod we mentioned Callum Mwenda, but he's now gone. We've brought in another striker. It seems like we're kind of 3/4 washed his hands of with. He wasn't even in a match day squad today. So, you're kind of thinking, well, come on and offer us something different. And I thought he did that in terms of his occupying Bassey and Anderson's attention. I thought he did that really well. I thought it caused him a lot of problems. And I thought first half they could have had a cigar on. Second half, there was in a game, in a battle. Nah, the problem is with Taro, he just isn't going to get you the goals, but his chaos, you need to get people around him. And I think you'll probably get a few chances what maybe fall off him. I mean, the finish kind of summed it up, really, didn't he? Just dragged it horribly wide, never looked convincing. And then annoyingly, the second one he had, what got really well blocked after a great ball from Sangare. If he would have hit that for the first one, we probably would have won the game. Because he hit that clean as a whistle. But this is where we are, mate. Going back to my first comment again, we're just chucking mud at the wall and hoping something sticks. Every single game, in parts of games. And unfortunately, at the minute, we're literally clinging on to any kind of positive, like you just said there with Ndoye, Adam. I remember going back to the first season, we had it with Emmanuel Dennis when he scored past Newcastle, and we were like, I remember his name in the pod, the Renaissance, and I don't think he scored again. I don't think he scored again. Yeah, I don't think he scored again that season. But that's when you at this part of the league, that's what you're literally clinging on to any hope. But yeah, I thought his actual play it caused real problems, Taro. But I just don't see him scoring the goals. To be honest, I don't. And the strikers we've got fit at the minute, I don't see any of them scoring the goals. I think you're probably going to have to rely. Yeah, but it's been a concern all season, hasn't it? That's why we are where we are. We've not had a striker score at the City Ground since opening day.
that is a bleak statement of affairs.
I mean, fans will be relying on Chris Wood to come back, but he's got to get up to speed. I think, why is he 34 now, Wood? He's just come back from a long-term injury. So, yeah, he might be able to get in the positions and that a bit better, but he'll still probably be behind the flow of the game. You know what I mean? So,
and 8 games to go. Is he really? Are we going to really rely on Chris Wood to hit the ground running? I don't think so.
Yeah, but this is the bleakness of it. We're just pinning his hopes on something, and that's all you can do, unfortunately. Because otherwise, you're just kind of accepting it's the fate sealed, isn't it?
I mean, we talk about Chris Wood, like he hasn't scored 36 Premier League goals in the last 2 seasons before this one. We're not talking about some Make-A-Wish winner here. If he comes back in, of course we benefit from that, whether he's up to speed or not.
Yeah, of course we do. It's
Yeah.
just that. What I'm saying is, I don't think you can say, oh yeah, he's gonna say if we get 6 games out of him. I don't think we're gonna say, oh yeah, he's gonna get a goal a game. He might get a couple for us possibly, but we need any positive at the minute because that's the situation we're in. Anything to cling on to.
Is he back in? Is he back in training soon? Then have I missed some news?
Well, allegedly he's back in mid-April. Apparently he's eyeing up the Burnley game as a potential one.
Can we get the magic sponge? Get it.
But you think that obviously they've been working on his sharpness and stuff. Now obviously there's nothing like games to get you match sharp, as we've seen. We've seen that with the fringe players that have come in from the cold that Dyche refused to use. McAtee only playing 43 minutes, for example, and never being seen again in the league. We've seen it with Backwell, especially Backwell, who looks terrified to touch a football now. It's like Rufus Smalls out of Mike Bassett. We've obviously they can't just gain sharpness overnight, but you'd have thought that if they know that's his lead time, they'll be working up to that point beforehand. Like Wood's been there and done it for many, many years. That won't have left him. Pace has never been about his game anyway. It's just being in the right place at the right time. And yeah, I fully back him with a few finishing drills and trains to just be able to put some of these chances away if they were to fall to him.
Yeah, you gotta hope. Right, we'll go through some comments in here. So Simon Jones, can't be arsed anymore. Hate these players. Lewis, same old bloody same old. The game next Sunday is about a big over 6 point and all 6-pointers, and then he's also followed up 99 shots, 1 goal. Tom Newton, Eagle was poor today, but has anyone had a look at how much football he's played? Brazilian domestic season, Club World Cup, bit of pre-season, straight into our league and Europa campaign. He's absolutely cooked. I'm just trying to think. Car tips where the F is wood. I mean, it's wood. We're creating chances, we're not putting them away. And Tom, we need Bob the Bucket from Royal Oak again. Oh, I mean, fair enough. We'll get into some Slept On It thoughts. First of all, we'll just give a shout out to our sponsors. So TrentSideThreads.co.uk, use RSOT for 10% off. Get yourself some nice t-shirts for the summer to wear on your holidays. Hopefully someone might go, oh, they're quite nice. And then Vesta Blinds, so vestablinds.com. Stylish, high quality, made to measure blinds and shutters at a great price. Give your home the perfect finishing touch with stunning, expertly fitted window coverings from Vesta Blinds. So that's vestablinds.com. Please do check them out. Thank you very much for sponsoring the pod. We'll do some Slept On It thoughts.
Red side of the Trent. Slept On It thoughts.
Stuart Clarkson, I've stewed on it, not slept on it. First half poor selection. Why are we letting referees run our game? 2 legitimate decisions ruled out by millimetres. A goal because a heel was just ahead. A penalty because an elbow, which you can't score with, is offside. Deserved more. Carl Booth, never mind 3 scarves. Should have been 3 blindfolds. Awful result again. VAR can get in the bin. Crossing my fingers, Liverpool do the business. Obviously, we know that didn't happen against Spurs. Jeffro, all I'm going to say is why is the whole of the ball needs to be over the whole of the line, but when it comes to offside decisions, it's a bootlace that's ahead of the defender, which is the difference between a goal or no goal. I bloody hate this sport now up the non-league. I guess, well, Christian, you said about being in black and white. Tom Newton, very much of an afternoon of many frustrations. Crashed the bar, penalty given, then not given due to offside. A goal disallowed for offside by the skin of a bit of boot leather, but again, 0 shots on target from a home side is poor. Can't keep kicking down the can. I mean, we did have a shot on target, but Leno saved one from Nico Dominguez. So, I'm clutching at straws. Martin Fretwell, strange setup, start better second half, but worryingly, I don't think the players can handle the pressure. Capanosity, Forest failing the audition for the Wolf in the 3 Little Pigs. The chasm between midfield and attack remains. No box crashes. Hutchinson had 2 defenders on yellows cards against him, and Pereira subs Morgan Gibbs White. His explanation on BBC RNS was word salad. Give Big T a start. And Alan McLean, you could put Clough, Ferguson, Guardiola, Mourinho, any managerial legend you want, and they could do F all with that lot. I mean, thank you very much for everyone getting involved in the Slept On It thoughts.
Can I just quickly say, Adam, as well, something that's not been mentioned about the VAR? Yeah. We had 1-4 us at West Ham, what we massively got away with. Yeah. It swings and roundabouts sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at 2-0 down, we lose that game, and the positive probably would have been Dyche would have been booted out the door earlier. But,
I find it annoying. Like the last few times we've played Fulham, it's been like we've lost 0-0 games and lost them by like the worst decisions of penalties. And today we've actually played okay and deserved a couple of goals. And I generally thought it was going to be the case again, where they've stunk up the gaff. Really, I didn't think Fulham were that great, to be honest.
Today we drew a 1-0 win to us.
Yeah, we have. We've drew a 1-0 that we lost. We get some player performances. Mason, I'm going to start with yourself. I'm going to give you Dan Andoy actually, because I thought he was excellent when he come on. We were very high praise of him coming out of the ground. I thought.
Yeah, it was a breath of fresh air. I touched on it earlier. He looked lighter. He looked sharper. Ask any defenders at any level, whether that's dog and duck, Premier League, any level, they don't want to be running back towards their own goal. They don't want to be. They want to be facing people up and looking the other way. And as soon as he came on, he made a running behind, and then he went to press someone, I think, and he won a tackle. And I thought, this is something that obviously, I know we're clutching at straws, but this is something that we haven't seen for a long time from any of our players. Just a bit of oomph in their game. Especially out wide. So yeah, I thought he was good. I'm not going to say he was brilliant because he just did the basics of the game, but that's where we're at. I know we keep saying it, but that is what we're clutching onto. I think he's probably earned himself a start Thursday. Whether that's getting 60 odd in the tank and sharpening his tools ready for the Sunday, I don't know, but I do think he has earned it because, like I said, the wingers aren't exactly ripping up trees, are they? But I thought he took his goal well. Obviously, the penalty, like I think it was one of the boys said on there, then he sent Bassey and he won the penalty. It's just a shame that obviously VAR is VAR and offside is offside. Like it's one of them. On another day, he comes away, he's got a goal, he's won a penalty, and he's absolutely flying. But the thing for me is he's shown tiny glimpses still that he can produce something. Whereas obviously, like Christian said, Back was absolutely shot. He is shot, and he came on the other night. Backward did, and he was playing out of position for me. And you've took away his main asset, which is tucking in off the right. So, and Doy, he can play on both sides. He's better on the left. And for me, with that performance, he's took over Hudson-Odoi at the minute because he's stinking it out at the minute. He's not necessarily doing anything positive at all, to be honest. I think his attitude today that's another thing. But even like you said, Adam, he went down injured. He's hobbling about for 5 minutes. The ball comes to him. He jumps out of the way. If you're injured, just come off. Just come off. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the reason used as to why he came off. It wouldn't surprise me at all because he wasn't the same after that.
Yeah.
Also, got to play devil's advocate. He was playing on the right. He should have been on the left. He should have been. But yeah, touching on Ndoye, mate. He was good, but he wasn't great. I mean, it was great as in 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. He wasn't, but he was probably a 6.5, 7. But for us at the minute, that's absolutely amazing, isn't it? So
yeah, it is.
We move on. It is. I don't want to get carried away and everyone think that Ndoye is the next Jesus and he's going to save us, as in Jesus, the one who walks on water, not our Jesus. Because he's more than likely not going to. But if we can show glimpses in games, then I'm for it. And I think like I said, I think he should start on Thursday.
Fair. Christian, I'm going to give you somewhat slightly spiky because obviously you were very critical that they shouldn't have probably started this game. So I'm going to give you Ola Aina.
Yeah, that's the bare minimum we deserve as a fan base, I think, after his antics on Thursday. I mean, I still think starting him sends out a horrendous message to the rest of the squad that you can just make, game critical errors that haven't come from necessarily from trying, have just come from outright laziness, arrogance and complacency, and you get rewarded with that for the start of the next game. I mean, that's wrong for me personally. I think I just don't think that's necessarily a good message to send out at all, because obviously you'll start seeing other players, they'll think, oh, you know what, I don't give a toss. I can play poor and still get rewarded at the start of the next game. We've seen before it doesn't work. VGC, why it doesn't work. I mean, one example was last season was when Yates came on against Southampton, wasn't it, when we were winning 3-0 and or 3-1, whatever it was, and then basically almost tried to sabotage the game with a performance that bad. And his reward for that was starting at Bournemouth for the game we lost 5-0. So it's poor. I think that's a serious question mark over Pereira for me. I get the argument, you play your best team, you play your best players, etc. He didn't show that on Thursday. He's part of our best players. I'm sorry, that was negligence on a gross scale for me. But today, first half I thought was quite poor, to be honest, Dana. I did. I think that he looked off it again. He looked like he was losing his battle, didn't look 100%. But second half was a lot better. I thought, obviously, there's a big sort of heroic moment, I suppose, from Muniz, although that did come from his own terrible header to Muniz on the edge of the box initially. But desperately unlucky not to score. Joined things up quite play on the right, I thought. Second half he was good, and obviously Fotmob gave him man of the match. I imagine for that clearance and for the shot as well. But yes, he owed us that. As a bare minimum, he owed us that for Thursday, because we're halfway out the door in Europe now because of him, because of his arrogance and his complacency. So we were owed that.
Fair. Reece, I'm struggling to give you a last player, but I think I'm going to give you Tyrell Wunye, just because I think, I know we keep talking about desperate measures. I mean, I give you Taiwo, but I also ask a question of do you think he has to start the next game against Spurs?
Yeah, I won't, repeating myself a bit. I thought, like I said, I thought he gave Bassey and Anderson a lot to think about and a bit of a torrid time because he's physical, isn't he? And he's just chaos, isn't he? He's just arms and legs, and it just wasn't happening for Jesus today. Why not give him a start at Spurs? Because, like I say, it's not really working for Jesus at the minute. And then the other guy we've got, like I mentioned as well, he's just not even getting in the match day squad. So, why not give him a start at Spurs and give whoever it is at the back, whether it's Romero or Van der Ven or Danso or whoever it is at the back for them, something to think about and, rough them up a bit. And if it is, say, for example, Romero, we know he's a bit hot-headed and he won't like that. So, I would. I probably would start him next week. I mean, Jesus is probably going to start on Thursday, isn't he? Unless Lucas starts. That's a possibility. But I would start him next week. But I don't. To be honest, I don't see who scores us the goals because we're just not seeing it, are we? I think what is Gibbs White top score. What has he got? 7 or 8? I think.
Yeah.
8. His strikers have got. Jesus has got 2. Luke has got 1, and Tyro's got 1.
Chris Wood's got 2.
Chris Wood's got 2, but obviously he ain't fit at the minute. So
it's bad. When
I think, like I said with Tyro, I just think you've got to get people around him and try and like the knockdowns or the knockoffs and just hope something happens because that's where we are, mate. To be honest, it's just painful. To be honest.
Very painful. Yeah. Well, moving on to Midtjylland, and Aris, I'll stick with yourself because you are making the journey out of the 4 of us in here. I mean, I know you. It's hard to see if we are going to make a turnaround, but away from home, I actually back us more than at home at the moment. It seems to be like we play with the pressure off a little bit. I mean, have you got? It's going to be interesting to see what lineup we go with because obviously that game against Spurs is absolutely huge.
Yeah, Pereira was referring to that on the radio, really. I think he was quite defiant after the game against Midtjylland, whether it was the emotion, etc. Like, it's only half time, which it is, and he was on about them bouncing in front of their away end and etc. But he was I think he was hoping we'd win today and then he could pick a bit of a stronger team on Thursday. But he kind of spoke more about the Tottenham game than the Midtjylland game. I think there'll be quite a few changes. I mean, in certain aspects of the team, we can't change it much because it's just not the option there. The defence, for example, we've got no wing backs in the Europa League who are fit. Net's obviously in the squad, so you're probably going to have to play both of them. Jai Kuhn is now injured, so if you wrap Murillo in cotton wool, you're bringing in a player Murato just looks a complete liability at the minute against a physical side when you don't like a physical battle, as seen by the game just played against them. And then there's just certain players you're kind of wanting to wrap in cotton wool for the Prem, aren't you? Do you risk the likes of a Sangare, who I would play because he's a big guy and he's physical and he can pass through the lines against them? I guess it depends how much the club see, how serious they want to take it, I guess, now. I think we'll probably see the likes of McAtee. I think we'll definitely see Ndoye. Wouldn't surprise me if we've seen Baku. Wouldn't surprise me if we've seen Luca as well. Even Yates, maybe. Because I just got the impression that Pereira, and he's unfortunately, the sad thing is he's right, that Tottenham game's a bigger game now because that's a proper 6-point and that's a game where it's one of them that could be a season-defining game. You know what I mean? If you went there and got a win, for example. So I just think if I'm giving you my head opinion, I actually think we'll probably go to Midtjylland and it'll be a similar game to what happened on Thursday, where it'll be a lot of huffing and puffing from us. We can't take his chance, and then they probably nick it late on and probably win 1-0. But we're capable of beating them, mate. No doubt about it. But with the situation we're in, it's just that we can't go there and just play strongest side because they're so physical, Midtjylland. You just don't want to go there and, we lost Jai Kuhn against them for one. I know that wasn't kind of the in-game thing, but you just don't want to go there and get any injuries to key players. I think it's just going to be a bit of a strange one Thursday, really. And I'm making the trip, and you're going in hope because, like I say, it's still half time. We're only 1-0 down, but I think with the situation, the Premier League, I think it's going to be a tough ask for us to get through personally.
Yeah, fair. Mason, I mean, what sort of side would you like to see against Midtjylland? And do you give us any hope?
I give us hope. I think there's hope in any game. Obviously, anything can happen. We've proved that we should have beat them at home twice, and we've lost both games. So they didn't go into it without hope, did they? So I think switch it and flip it on its head. We've got to have hope. Like Reece said, I do think we'll see changes. I don't think we'll see Anderson. I don't think we'll see Murillo. We haven't really got a choice with Aina or Nico. I think they've got to play. But it's how we look after them in terms of, do we go with the 3 and give them a bit more something behind them? So in terms of probably potentially playing one of them as a right-sided centre-back, and putting Doy as a right wing-back and the other one at left wing-back, that's something I wouldn't mind seeing, to be honest. I think Yates will play, because I think that sub today that I don't think we touched on really with Vitor bringing Yates on, obviously it baffled me. Absolutely baffled me, because like Reece said, we're not scoring goals. Gibbs White is the only one at the moment who seems to be able to score or look like scoring at times. Obviously, we criticise his shooting, and rightly so. It is pretty poor on the whole, but he's managed to find the net recently. But Yates will play just purely because I think the sub today came on for passion, just to try and get the crowd going a little bit, to try and give us something, because we are, like Reece said as well, we're throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks, and that was that sub today for me. I think Yates will play. To be honest with you, I thought about it while I was talking about it. Then I'd like to see Jesus and Luca together. I would, because I think it'd benefit Jesus, and obviously he has scored goals in the Europa League. I just think he needs bodies around him. Like today, he was on a hide into nothing, but he didn't paint himself in much glory at all, which obviously you guys know I'm a massive fan of his overall game. Can he score more goals in the Premier League? Yes, he can, but he's proved he can score goals. Like I think what Tom Newton said in the comments earlier, he's done, isn't he? Really, he's played a season and a half of football without a rest, so he's like Olarena. He's always on the red bar on FIFA, isn't he? He's finished. He's starting games like how you'd expect him to finish them. He's tired, but I'd like to see him and Luca and just put balls in the box, just because we're at that point. We're more than likely not going to carve teams open, and when we do, we make poor decisions anyway. I think I've touched on it in our chat. I've said, Pete, I see stuff on Twitter or online or whatever saying we're missing chances. For me, I don't necessarily think we're missing out on our chances. I think it's the situation before the chances is poor. It's either a poor run or there was ample opportunity in that first half, in the first leg, where Hutchinson, Gibbs White and Jesus were rotating quite a bit. And one sticks in my brain. It was from a throw-in. It went into Jesus and he's flicked it around the corner to Hutchinson. And they're 3v3. And it just fizzles out because the pass is overhit from Jesus to Hutchinson. And it's like them scenarios, that's a chance to any other team, but we're just struggling. So I think you go back to basics. You put Ndoye right wing back. You get either Nico or Aina at left wing back, and you just put balls in the box for them two to go and attack. Gibbs White or McAtee in the 10, and just put Yates and Sangare, I would, just for physicality, purely for that reason. And that's something along them lines, and just hope for the best. I do think we've got a chance because, let's be honest, they're poor. They're a poor team. I think, obviously, me and you, Adam, we went for a coffee before the game and we had a chat with a lad we know, and he said, I thought they were good. What he was watching, I do not know, because they're one of the worst teams I've seen play at the City Ground, and I've watched us in League One. They were passing the ball out of play. That bloke who touched the ball on the edge of the box, that 21, I mean, I don't even know what to say about him. Obviously, Christian, you put a clip in the other day of you in goal. I think he was playing in that game as well. Some of the players they've got are appalling footballers. We were looking at that Turkish lad. He's about 5 stone overweight, and he's the best player. They're not a good team. So I think if you go and you score early, or you go in at half-time 1-0 up, or 0-0 and you're on top, we've got a chance. And I hope we do, just purely for the people like Reece who are going and spending their own money, because otherwise it's a waste of time. It is a waste of time.
Just a quick thing on Midtjylland, but they've actually played today against Nordjylland at home. They lost 1-0 in the 99th minute.
Wow. Do you know what the funny thing is, right? Ryan, who I did the pod with before, he says they beat him 5-0 and 6-1 earlier in the season. And they're
just physical, aren't they, and good from set pieces. They're like what Neil Warnock's Sheffield United used to be back in the day. I mean, they had some good quality when they had like the Tong and Brown and that, but they used to just loads of big bleeders, didn't they? Like Wayne Allison's and Carlos Arbor and players like that.
Craig Morgan at centre half.
Yeah, Chris Morgan and that. That's just big. I mean, Jagielka, he were a big guy, so they just had loads of. And fair play to them, you know. They play to the strengths, don't you? You can't knock them for that.
I mean, Christian, do you think if we do go with a bit of a rotated side, because we've lost twice to Midtjylland, because we're more focusing on that game against Spurs, could Vitor Pereira almost say to this rotated side, like, listen, the pressure's off, go and enjoy yourselves, and like, let's just play with a bit of freedom, because we're 1-0 down. Like we've got to go for it a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that will give them a bit of impetus to go and enjoy it and actually like open them up and, I don't know, have a few pop shots from outside the box and I don't know, just have a bit of fun with it, I guess. I don't know if I'm just trying to be a bit too blasé with it, if I'm honest.
I really don't think it will take much to rattle them. I don't. Like, Mason was right. They were awful against us. Absolutely awful. I'm convinced if you play that game 10 times, we win it 9 times. We make better decisions in the final third. We don't act like, you know, the front three's had a lobotomy that night, for example. We actually tried to make things happen. You know, people don't get in each other's way for shots, or people take a shot rather than take a touch on it and rather than pass it out and stuff like that. And, you know, once we actually get in a position where we're 1-on-1, we don't just pass it to the goalkeeper. We don't make those mistakes normally, I don't think. Like, the goal, I mean, I touched upon it earlier, that was just sacrilege. Absolute sacrilege how that goal went in against us. It really was. They were crap. All night they were crap. Like, you know, they're passing out of play. They could barely string a few passes together unless Morata was gifted in the ball. You know, they're there for the taking. They really are. And, you know, Mason's right. If we score early, or it's 0-0 going into half time, they're going to start panicking. They are going to be like, oh, you know, the game's not out of sight yet, and they've got all these players and whatever else. You know, I expect that we all go to match them fairly physically. I think that you might well see Lucas start, you might well see Yates start, you might see Morato start instead of Murillo, for example, because obviously, again, the Spurs game will take priority. But, you know, if you can manage that physical battle and just work at the same rate they do, you'll make better chances than them because we have better players. You know, what I found baffling on Thursday was that we started crossing the ball to Jesus. We brought Luca on, then stopped crossing the ball. It's like, well, why? You know, you've got a 6'7" target man striker, and you stop, change your game plan completely. Odds. The one person who probably could, you know, actually match them physically as well in the air, and you just stop playing to that sort of strength. It was just bizarre, but. No, of course it's a chance. It's not like we look at this ice thinking like, oh, we're 3-0 down against like Roma or someone like that, and you're thinking, oh Christ, we're up against the barrel here, and we've got a massive 6 points at the weekends. What do we do? There's every reason we can get something out of this game. I hate the notion that this has been treated as like something we can just fob off or something we just throw away, and you know, it's a hindrance, whatever else. We've waited 30 years for this. 30 years for a crack at Europe. 30 years, like, think of all those games against Oldham and Scunthorpe and whatever else. You know, where we had to hear people older than us recant all these memories of the good old days about European date times and whatever else. Well, we've got them now. Now you don't want it. So, you know, no, fuck off. This is our time. Well, I'm sorry. This is a hugely important game, and it's only 1-0. So, yeah, I do want to see some of her teammates play. I do want to see some of these players as well make a point too, because you know, they can. You know, we are going to need everyone for this run-in. These last 8 games of the season, we can't just play the same teams week in, week out. You know, they're going to get injuries, they're going to break up, whatever, or suspensions. You're going to need everyone sharp and firing. And to be fair to Vitor, he has tried to gradually bring people in. He's tried it with Backcourt. I know Backcourt came on the left. Now, you know, as Mason pointed earlier, not to his skill set. You saw it with Doy today. It's a lot sharper. If he can start to bring these players, even McAtee looked quite bright when he came on, I thought, in the last 5 minutes. So at least trying to force something to happen, which, you know, we weren't doing. If we can get these players sharp and, you know, their condition improves, they're going to come into the team and be better for Forest. So how is that a bad thing? Just find it odd. So odd the way we treated Europa League this season.
Just
so
to
odd.
add as well, Pereira himself needs some wins, mate.
Yeah, of course he does.
One game.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Steve Hodge on the radio is talking him out of a job.
Oh god, he's honestly listening back on
talking him out of a job.
Yeah.
And you know, if you do write down the games and obviously the results, you know, but the problem with Midtjylland, I mean, because I do feel a bit snobbery for saying it. Yeah, I think they're not very good, are they, on the ball, but they're effective in what they do. And we've all played football, and you know, Mason's played at a higher level than us 3 of us. than us three. But you play against people sometimes who you know you're better than, but you just can't get results against them because it's just horrible to play against. That's why when that's why Yates has probably got a big following of fans at Forest, because when he's on it and having a good game, he's probably horrible to play against. And he's niggly. And that's why you see players like Alexis McAllister and Bruno Fernandes, who are miles better players than him, get angry because they just niggle at you. And that's what type of side Midtjylland are. And credit to him for that, because, yeah, they obviously data-driven, because they had, Matthew Benham, who's at Brentford owner back in the day. And there's just any marginal games, they just get on them, and they're effective. And Sam Matterface said this on TalkSport. Apparently, they've got three or four set piece coaches in the Premier League who all come from Midtjylland.
Yeah, I think I remember you saying the other night, actually, to be fair, Reece. And I mean, it's one of them. Maybe it'll be third time. Lucky that we've played them, because we've lost twice.
What I will say,
we're going to get another manager in for it then.
Yeah. What I will say is actually, I actually feel more confident in Forest away from home, to be honest. So if you look at the last 3 away games, we've played, Brighton, Man City, and Fenerbahce. We've scored 6 goals in those games. How many teams go to Istanbul and score 3 goals? Not many. How many teams go to Etihad and score twice? Not many. How many in Brighton? Really, Taiwo should have scored. He should have equalised. I know we all love him a bit. He should have equalised in that game. He had a free header. Granted, he just came off the bench. He's literally his first touch of the ball. He's unmarked from a set piece. He should have scored. And then we're saying suddenly, we're a point better off, and we're saying, actually, hang on, we scored 7 goals in 3 away games. What's going on? So I don't think scoring goals away from home doesn't seem to be the issue. It's just at the City ground, for some reason, it's like someone's put some bad juju over both goals, and we need to get some witch doctors to come and help us, because 99 shots and 1 goal, as Lewis put in the chat earlier, tells its own story. But away from home, whether it's a pressure lift or whatever else, they just don't seem to have those issues, at least so far, anyway. So
It's weird, isn't it? Because like you just said, Christian, you're going away to Fenerbahce, which is like such an intense atmosphere, and no disrespect to the City ground, it wasn't like the Fenerbahce stadium. We'd go there and rip them to pieces. Yeah, at home, it's like, I don't know whether it's the expectation or the pressure of just playing in front of the home crowd. It's just not happening for us, is it really?
No.
Yeah. Well, anything to add, Mason?
No, I think with what Reece just said, I think the pressure bit plays a part. I think you don't hear grumblings of away fans very often. If, like say, when Tyrone missed that chance, he wouldn't have heard the Forest fans fuming or calling him every name under the sun. I think if he missed that chance at the City ground against Brighton, it's a different story. It's a different type of pressure. In regards to Midtjylland on Thursday, I think, obviously, like Reece said, we've all played football. We've all had a manager say to us before, just match them. I think if you match them physically, match their application, match their work rate and their running, your quality will show through. And obviously Thursday, for a good 65, 70 minutes, I'd say we did match them, and our quality didn't show through because we were poor. And then, like I say, Christian said, he's touched on it, Aina didn't match him, switched off. He's probably thought he's more than likely going to miss, or he's thought, the cross is coming in, and he's just not reacted. He's flat foot. He's poor defending. There's no excuse for it, like Christian said. And we haven't. So in terms of the full 90 minutes, we haven't matched them. And at the end of the day, yeah, they are poor, but they are professional footballers. If you give them half a chance, they're more likely going to score a goal. So I think if we go out there and we match them physically, we run as much as them. I'd love to see the distances covered when we played them at home, and the first time was a car crash. I'd anticipate they've run a lot more than us that day, but I don't think it'd be much different. But we didn't match them because they stayed switched on, no matter how poor they were on the ball, no matter how many times that donkey at the back kicked it out of play. They did work harder than us in terms of mentally. They were switched on, physically they were switched on, and we weren't, and it showed in the end. So I think if we go and do that, quality can shine through, even if it's something like today. We didn't carve Fulham open. Nico just put a ball forward. Sangare just put a ball forward, and we're in on goal twice. It's not rocket science. Football, I think everyone thinks that these players have got to come in and put 100 passes together. We didn't carve them open once today. We put 2 balls over the top and nearly scored 2 goals. I mean, we did score a goal, and he was just unfortunately offside. So I think it's there to be had, and I hate that notion that it's being written off just because we've got a big game on Sunday. Every game's a big game when you're in the positions we're in. We could win on Sunday, win and go through, progress on Thursday, and all of a sudden people are going, hang on, they can get in the Champions League and survive in the Premier League. Football's a funny game. It is a funny game, and obviously now looking at it on paper, people are probably thinking, no chance. Even ourselves, even I'm the most glass half full person in the world, and I'm even becoming a bit more like Lee in our group chat and thinking the other way, because I've never been able to think like that. But it's been that bad a season. But you just never know. You never know with football. It's a funny game, and it takes. I was having a joke, obviously, in the chat as well, saying what body part Calvin Bassey could have scored an own goal with today. We'd have took it, and then all of a sudden, it's like, hang on, we're a good team. We're a good team, and it's funny. But yeah, I think application-wise, if we match him, we've got a massive chance.
I think just to finish with Midtjylland as well, like, I think them playing a Premier League side is probably a massive incentive for them. That'll get their players up for it. You know what I mean? If we're playing for like it's like us being in League One in it and drawing a Prem side in the cup. You're like, as a fan, you're like really up for it. So they'll see it as well. It's a really big game for them. That's probably why they've done so well in Europe, because they can get up for these games and really test themselves. And we saw it, didn't we? With Graz away, we remember the video with the goalkeeper, how fired up he was for it, for example, and how their team, because the Premier League and seen in Europe, and rightly so, it's this big, powerful league. It's got all the money, all the biggest wages mostly are paid there, aside from probably the odd teams dotted around Europe. But so like Mason said, you just got to match them for application and that's when our money, what we've spent and the quality we've got, should be shining through. Because let's be honest, if Arne doesn't make that error on Thursday just gone, it would have been a 0-0 game, wasn't it? Aside from that header they had early on, they didn't really create a lot.
Yeah, really. we missed a lot.
Yeah. I just find it so odd that there's people that actually don't really care if Forest lose a game of football. It's like, we could be. It doesn't matter to me if it's League Cup, FA Cup, Johnson's Paint Trophy. I still remember the Bristol City penalty defeat we had, for example. I want Forest to win every game, just because it might cause us congestion down the line. You want to be taken as a serious club or not? Like, who's going to turn our nose up to playing Porto at quarter final with the Europa League at the City grounds? Really? You don't want that?
No, we want Stuttgart.
Porto got advantage, didn't they? Either or, this could be something absolutely. Like May said, we still have a chance to make this absolute, topsy-turvy roller coaster, more bloody twists and turns and Colossus at Fort Park. We still have a chance to actually make this a remarkable season, in that we actually win a major trophy for the first time since 1990? Was the last time?
League Cup one tap.
And that we're apparently turning our noses at that. The chance of that, I just find it so baffling. I really do.
Yeah,
I get Prem safety takes priority. I understand that, but to openly just toss off a competition that we have a good chance of going far in, I just find so bizarre.
Yeah, sure. Just to round off, let's get some score predictions. Reese, score prediction from yourself.
Well, I kind of gave you mine, didn't I? That I said it'd be 0-0 later on, and they'd nick it at the end. I'm sticking with that, mate. That's my head prediction. Obviously, my heart says we'll go there and turn them over, which I'm making the trip. And even if I was sat on the settee at home, I'm hoping we do. So, I personally want this European campaign to go on. The more it might be hurting my bank account, but the more trips, the better for me.
Fair. Mason, score prediction?
I think I've thought it ever since the first leg finished. I think we're going to win 1-0, and I think we'll do them on pens, mate. To be honest,
I mean, we don't need penalties unless it's the rotated side.
Yeah, we don't need it, but it's the easy way, the hard way, the Forest way, isn't it? We will not go there and turn them over. I'll be very, very surprised if we did. It'll be a scrappy 1-0. They'll probably hit the bar in the last minute of extra time and normal time, but then we'll go on and win on pens, and Sells will be the hero, or whoever. Probably at this point it'd be Morata will probably score the winning penalty or something daft like that. You just never know, do you? No. I'd ask my prediction 1-0 and win on pens.
Okay, Christian.
2-0 Forest. Yeah, no doubt. Also, one other thing, what a lot of people are forgetting as well is about Sunday, next Sunday against Spurs. Spurs play midweek as well. They've got Atletico Madrid on Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever it is. And, yes, they're 3-0 down in aggregate, but or the 3-goal deficit, sorry. You can bet they won't be going into that game thinking, oh, yeah, this is written off. This could be their last European game in a while, potentially, unless they pull a rabbit out of the hat. They'll be doing what they can to pull a rabbit out of the hat in that game. So you know, tiredness doesn't come into it for me, or squad selection.
And
positive as well as they play Wednesday rather than Tuesday. Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. So you know,
and if you did look at their team today, I mean, there are only 2 players on their bench outfielders that you would put in their first team, with Xavi Simons and Kolo Muani. So they're in the dire straits for their squad. I know Ramiro will probably come back from his concussion, and Van der Ven was suspended for today, but they are in the depths of their squad, and it's obviously showing, because they've just got no one, absolutely no one, and Liverpool were sleepwalking, as Mason told me about Carragher was saying.
They're horrendous, Liverpool today.
Yeah, so
the fact they were winning for as long as they did says that all went well at Spurs. Put it that way.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna go 2-0. You know, I just think we might play with a bit of freedom, and then because Midtjylland at home and they beat us twice. I don't know. I don't believe anyone will get complacent from their side, but I've just got this element that that might creep in a tiny bit, because they're quite strong at home normally. So I've just got this weird feeling, but maybe that's just the
We are the favourites. I've just had a look. We're even money to win, but they're the favourites to qualify.
Right. Well, I've just either the optimist, because I just can't go to football and think we'll lose, because as I always say, what is the point? But thank you very much. We'll leave it there. 197 people in here. So if you can drop a like and a subscribe, it does go a long way. Hopefully there has been some positivity to take out of today's pod. I think there is some things to try and cling on to, and we have got to do that. But we'll be back probably Friday, I would imagine, for a post-match of Midtjylland, and then we'll talk about Spurs a bit more in depth. Hopefully Igor Tudor is still in charge, because that will give us more hope of beating them, and doing the double over them 2 seasons in a row. That would be absolutely chef's kiss. So thank you very much, Mason, Christian, Reese, joining me. Thank you very much for everyone else and getting your comments in. Until next time, come on, you Reds.